Oh my God, we're gonna scream about shit. Because we're upset and we don't feel good about the state of the world and whatever the fuck, I don't know. So hey, wanna learn how to scream? Let's do this. All right, so I'm going to be talking very fast to make this video short and concise so we can get to exercises. And I know there's still going to be people that are like, he fucking talks too much and just skip to like 5 minutes in, and that's when he starts doing exercises. So they skip all of the how to do everything part and then just go to like, I can't do the exercise, fuck this guy, I hate him, and he's not knowledgeable. Anyway, aside from that negativity, let's get into this. So I'm going to be talking very fast. First of all, we're going to talk about why I'm making a video about screaming again. There are things to be learned from screaming. If you get into screaming, even if you're not somebody like me, that's you know, I never really got too much into metal music and heavy music and things of that nature. Never really was much of my thing. I was not filled with enough rage and disappointment. I was more filled with melancholy, sadness. So, anyway, still, it's very exciting to learn how to do this stuff. It's still, you'll learn a lot about the voice. And in some ways, this is the point, you'll learn backwards or forwards. So what I mean by that is that pushing the voice to more of an extreme, you can then back up from that and still learn the inner machinations of how your voice works. You can still learn how some of these things work. A lot of my students, I want to start off quietly and then build support and build foundation, but sometimes also during these things, you'll learn things about the voice in between. So there's that. If you're a weekender and you're just here and you don't build any foundation with singing or whatever, and then you watch one video and some of the most extreme things you can do with your voice, and you're like, I don't get it, it doesn't work. Just know that these things take a lot of practice, a lot of dedication, and a lot of practice over weeks and days and things of that nature, meaning that if you kind of don't use it, you kind of lose it. So keep the practice going. You're starting to find a coordination that works for you, similar to walking across a tightrope. At first, your body will be very tense, and then you try to learn how to relax into it and then use the muscles that are necessary instead of all the muscles at the same time. And when you start screaming, it's going to be a lot of all the muscles at the same time, which isn't necessarily the greatest. So when we get into screaming, a lot of it is going to be how much note is coming through. What does that mean? That means how much fry is either pushing apart your chords so that the note is getting lost. Right there, there's kind of like G, or that's an A sharp 3. So there was kind of note in that, but then it kind of gets lost because the chords are breaking apart. So a good scream, a bad scream, it doesn't matter, is sometimes dictated by how much the note is there or how much it's just barreling forward with the chaos. There's also going to be different notes that you hear at the same time, some of them in key, some of them not, whatever. Similar to throat singing or harmonic singing, there's different notes happening at the same time, 2, sometimes 3. So keep that in mind as well, but we're going to start from a foundation of vocal fry because typically, again, that's what makes a good scream or a scream that most people are going to be finding first. I can talk about this really quick, emotion and how that plays into this. If you think about somebody that's learning how to play guitar and then they want to emote through that instrument, it's going to be very difficult until they have some sort of skill level or at least some version of mastery of that instrument so that they can take a back seat from the technicality of what they're doing and then start to express through that. Similar thing with the voice. If you're upset and you have this angst and you want to scream and put that through music, you can do that. But a lot of times you need to learn the foundational elements to then kind of be able to take a back seat and learn how to express through the instrument that you've put care and practice into. So if you haven't, again, yeah, you might be able to scream and yell and get away with it, but it's much better to build something that makes sense and that your body can make sense of. Lastly, doing these things quietly or loudly. Again, everybody thinks it's loud, 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 loud. You're doing these things quietly, then you're learning how to support underneath. Keep thinking about it like this analogy I use all the time, like a cold, older car in the winter. You start giving it gas and it's like this. It's not ready to have gas pushed into it yet. So we're warming it up. Think about these things again, like stretching and warming up. We do not need to do these things with support right away. Oh my God, he said, don't use support. My teacher said, just shut the fuck up and just listen. It's going to be okay. I don't care what your teacher said. I don't care what this person said. Just follow along. We're going to fucking get to the promised land. So we don't need support right away. Support is a version of pushing pressure up into this area in different ways. If this area is not set up well, then we're just pushing more and more pressure into spaces and not knowing what the fuck to do with them. So first, for example here, if I go, and then I combine them together, it's not that loud, but I'm getting to some version of a fry scream. Then I'm going to start pushing from the diaphragm to see if I can get volume, depending on how warmed up I am or how much I'm able to stay in a pocket of something that's working. It'll work, or it'll start to kind of dissipate and not sound as good. Maybe I'll become more horizontal and flat and it'll start falling out of the face. All of these things you're going to continue to learn about, but know that it's not about volume, it's about a pocket. Finding a pocket that works and sounds decent or has a nice tonality to it, and then trying to see if you can put volume through it, but that volume still might not come for weeks or months, and volume at the end of the day is still not really that important. What's important is if it sounds good, and you can fucking do it, first of all, especially for sustained periods of time, and if you can express through it, or sing words through it, or sing whatever you want to do through it, but yeah, that is not key. Volume is not key. So let's get into this. Different exercises we can do. Again, is never like a perfect exercise. I'm just trying to give you a palette to kind of utilize and to try with, and then you can go further from there. Keep in mind, singing is vowels. So anything else gets in the way. If I sing the word get, G is a glottal stop, meaning it stops me from singing. That was ridiculous. But I get to get, then I get to the vowel, and then I'm singing get, and T shuts me down. Any other word like that, start. Sorry, I was trying to find a word. I had the S, but I didn't have the rest of the word. Start would be the same. Start would be the vowel, and then I can sing through it. So keep that in mind here too. When you get some of this working, sing your vowels. You can sing words, but mostly just move around your vowels, see about that pocket that I'm talking about. Now, again, starting this off, we can take straight up speaking voice, then we take a whispery 2 hours later, So we're taking something like that. If you kind of think about your vocal cords right up front here, and then we think about that whisper, it almost feels like one's here, and then the whisper's a little bit back and over top. Might not really be happening that way, but it kind of feels like that. Like this is a stone and this is water coming up over top of it. If we combine those together, we can kind of hold our breath back and then we kind of start to get a fry scream. So if I combine those, we'll do it like right here. There, what's happening is not bad or unhealthy or whatever, but I have vocal cord closure like that, making a note. If I push just a little bit of extra air over, those vocal cords are starting to vibrate erratically and give me this chaotic sound. So it's more like that. So stupid. But that's what's happening. Your vocal cords are going from to like that, and they're just vibrating erratically. That's what's giving us that sound, but we're not pushing extra air then after that. We're finding that sound, and then we're trying to sit into it or seat ourselves into that pocket. So again, and just trying to sit there. Now, if you're making you cough, it's doing all these other things, don't worry about it. This takes time, this takes practice. If it feels bad or it feels itchy or it hurts, there's some hurdles you're gonna have to jump through, but at the end of the day, if anything hurts, you're most likely doing it wrong. So let's slide this around a little bit. We were just using I'm gonna go from that to then try to relax into that and we're just gonna slide it around on thirds like this. One more time. So can you hear that I'm kind of relaxing? So let's do that slower. Let's try different vowels. O. Oh. O is always nice because it opens the throat, but it also gets into that, I want to sing metal music and sound like a scary monster. Oh. Anyway, mouth shape affects the screams very much. If I go with it's going to sound much more high. If I go with oh, it's going to sound, but it's just mouth shape. It's going to sound much more dark or whatever. Anyway, at the end of the day, it's literally just, ow. It's just like turning a knob. Oh. Now, let's take one note at a time. Let's take O because we were just using O, and we're going to try to sustain this. We're going to try to find a sustainable pocket. Hopefully you're already finding that we can sit in, and we can try again. We can try to put a little bit of support under it or whatever, but pocket is most important here, especially because you might never have really done these things before. Just a couple notes so we can keep moving quickly. So let's try to find that again. Oh, and then we're going to try to sit in that chaotic space. Might work, might not. You never know. Oh. So you should feel like you can kind of do this for a while. You're hearing my voice and you can see no veins popping out of my neck or anything. So I can sit there. Let's keep going. Oh. You hear me navigating that? A lot of it is also hydration. Let's see if that helps. Is this where we were? So each time there, voice is doing a couple different things depending on how warmed up I'm not. But you can see I'm still finding a pocket and some of that chaotic craziness and then sitting there trying to get that to sustain. So let's take one more, an E vowel, which is a shitty vowel that makes you want to go horizontal and stuff. And let's try guiding it through that. If you have to open it back up, be mindful of that. So it's not E straight out like this. It's E, and you're opening it back up vertically. Same thing, trying to find a pocket with it. E. See, I lost it. So, making any sense? Now we're going to try to combine some of these spaces together to have even more crazy fucking screams and a little bit of information about that as well. Water is your best friend here, too. Keep yourself hydrated. Now, right there, I'm compressing and loosening at the same time, which is very confusing, I know. But that's all about these things, all this kind of stuff, and it works. Most important thing to take away from almost all of these videos I make is how to be more and more conscious of the subtleties that are happening in here. That's what's going to make you a great singer. Be more and more conscious of the tiny, micro, little movements and musculature things that are happening and not happening. And this happened that time, but this didn't happen that time. You're building muscle memory. You're building coordinations. So, where the hell was I? Yeah, we have this down here. That's a version of relaxing, but also grabbing and kind of holding back the pressure at the same time. We can also grab a hold in a couple different places in the throat. The false chords, I've talked about that plenty of times. And then the soft palate space up in the pharyngeal kind of nasal space, right where your uvula hangs down. You can kind of hear me kind of moving between those spaces. Now, even better screams may be combining some of these elements together. Without getting too heavy into this, again, because these are complicated topics, let's try sliding a couple of these around. Again, you can use your favorite scale. It doesn't fucking matter. I use slides a lot because it's telling you how to stay open and telling you what kind of walls you're building or not building, etc., etc. Walls meaning too much of a compression wall where you're going, and you can't go any higher. So now let's try to combine with over top of it. If you're trying to find false chords, using the E vowel and pointing it towards the nose, But you're going to feel yourself. You're going to feel yourself compressing over top the vocal cords. So if I go like this, I'm going to move fast again. There's the false chords. If I try to add scream underneath that, we'll do that first. Then I'm going to try to compress above it as well. You hear those kind of kicking in as well. The scream is getting a little bit thicker. It's getting a little bit more intense, etc. We'll do a couple more. This is not easy to do, but once again, just be mindful of what's happening and try to work on it slowly but surely. Surely. Oh, you hear that over top? All right, now one more. Let's try to add soft palate. If you're having trouble finding that, you can look up other videos and stuff. It's not easy to find always, but everything's happening backwards. It's happening backwards. So we're going to try to add a fry scream and then add that up there. We're using that vowel sound. And you're pointing your voice right where your uvula hangs down. So I'm going to go. You hear those two combined? Now, if I start pushing under that, which you heard me doing there, starts getting pretty intense. Again, volume's decent, but I don't need to go much louder than that. But a couple more. Sorry, I forgot what I was doing. But you can tell, it's not affecting my voice. One more. How about we go up to like past my bridge and see if I can even do that. I'm not going to just go because I have to. It's a little bit more complicated. So hopefully some of this made sense. Hopefully it helps you to scream and yell in your car and get out the angst and the difficulties of the day. Again, the reason I'm doing this is because there's things to be learned from it, but it sure is a lot of fucking fun to have a shitty day or just be in your car and pull up some heavy music and just and just be screaming and yelling your head off, and then to pull up next to somebody and go and just start screaming. Thank you for joining me. Again, if you want to book lessons with me, sterlingrjackson.com. You can do so right through the website. If you want to join me on Patreon, always teaching more over there. Going to teach more on there, I think, right after this. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you soon.